And we back, and we back. Yeah. Hey, this ain't no intro, this the entree. Hit that intro with Kanye. I sound like Andre. Tryna turn my...
Hey guys, and welcome back to the 5th episode of the ajsoccershow. As always, it's me, Jalen Thompson, and to my right,
Andrew Pipers.
And we got a different episode for you guys coming up today. We're going to start off by talking about the international break, and specifically Italy not making the World Cup. And then we're going to move on to a couple highlights, highlighting some Premier League matches coming up this weekend.
Yeah, and we have a special episode for you guys today because as much as Jay and I would love to talk about Man City destroying Leicester this weekend, which is probably going to happen, we value perspective on this show. So we've got Ned, an Arsenal fan, and Walter, a Man United fan, to bring you guys some different perspective from what you normally hear from us. So we're looking forward to it. But before we get into that, Jay, what do you think about Italy not making the World Cup? That's huge, man. That's huge.
Wow. Yeah, it just really shocked me when I think we had just finished practice and I saw the news about them not making it. I was just absolutely shocked. But it seems like that's just a pretty big theme for some of the usual nations that make a face in the World Cup, with like Chile didn't make it, Netherlands, and obviously the U.S. not making it as well. But for Italy, it's a pretty big downer. I think it's the first time they haven't made the tournament since 1958.
Oh my gosh!
So that's quite a big gap. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. You're in Italy. One of the headlines was like the apocalypse has come after they didn't make the World Cup.
Right.
So we're starting to love soccer in America, but if you think about how big it's been over in Italy forever, and they haven't made it in 60 years, it's just ridiculous. There's a lot of blame going around to the manager. His name is escaping me right now, but Conte, who was very peppy and kind of in your face. This guy was not like that. He didn't play their star player, Insigne, who you and I have seen on Napoli. He's an absolute star. I would say he's valued at over 100 million, but. Anyway, getting back to it, Italy, everybody's going to be, really sad about that. And I think the only way forward is they're just going to have to rebuild and try to get back for the Euros.
Especially with Buffon, that being his last appearance. I saw some photos of him in tears after the match, and it's just like, that's never how you want to send off a true legend of the game like that. So, I mean, I could tell it was a very emotional night for the team in general.
Yeah, and just an absolute heartbreaker for Buffon. If you're a fan of the game, you've seen him. He's been playing forever. But there was kind of a cool picture at the end when Buffon was like, he said his goodbyes and he gave a hug to Donnarumma, the young Milan goalkeeper, and like the caption was, it's your job to protect Italy now or something like that, which is pretty special to see. But I definitely would have loved to see Buffon go out at the World Cup for sure. But, I don't know if you have any other thoughts about it. Or
I mean, it's kind of cool seeing, like you said, Donnarumma, like getting the torch passed on to him, so to say. And it's kind of interesting to compare the position that Italy is versus the U.S. Because obviously we kind of have two different talent pools to choose from. And it's kind of interesting that, like, I feel like they shouldn't feel too panicked because they have a steady stream of talented players coming in and they have a lot of choices with managers. I just feel like they have a lot of options, whereas the U.S. at this point, we're really digging into our younger players.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody saw, but the U.S. tied Portugal 1-1 today in a pretty interesting game. But basically, we're reaching a lot into our younger players where they still have players in their prime in like 26, 27 range that they can pick from. So I think it's interesting to like compare our two situations right now.
Yeah, I'm glad you raised that point because I think from the U.S. point of view, we just need to, as we said before, just revamp the entire system. I think Italy, it's more of a manager thing, in my opinion, right now. I'm not an expert on Italian football, but I think the U.S. is more of, revamp everything, and hopefully we can get to some sort of stage. But I saw a little bit of that Portugal game that you were talking about. Weston McKennie, the young star from Schalke, he scored, and then someone else on Portugal scored. So, yeah, like you said, 1-1. Can't really read much into that, though, to be honest. Just kind of Portugal is playing like their C team. We were just playing a team to finish out the year, I guess. But, I mean, hopefully the U.S. can do better, and hopefully Italy. You want to see big teams in the tournament. Another thing that people are talking about is the qualification for the World Cup is, a lot harder if you're in Europe, and the debate is, do we want the best teams in the World Cup, or do we want the world represented in the World Cup?
Right.
So for me, I kind of think, I want to see Italy playing, like Argentina. I want to see Italy playing these big teams. I understand the argument for having small teams, but I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because, I don't know, I kind of tend to lean with the smaller nations just because when you get those Cinderella stories like Costa Rica in 2014 making it all the way to the quarterfinals, I think that's just so fun to watch. Especially as like a U.S. fan, when we got kicked out before them, I just automatically went to go root for Costa Rica, despite them being in CONCACAF. It was just like you really want to see those type of teams succeed, and so I think it's really important to have the world represented, just because it would be, yes, it would be very exciting to see the best players on display, but it gives a lot of other players that don't get to play against those guys on the club side a chance to play against those big players internationally. So I think that's very important.
Yeah. There's definitely two sides to it. I can definitely see that point of view as well. And I guess another point to raise is that if Italy can't score one goal against Sweden in 2 legs, do they even deserve to be at the World Cup? Are they as good as a team as they were in 2006? Obviously not. So maybe some of these bigger name teams that have traditionally been really good are struggling a little bit and not as good as everyone thinks they are. So it's definitely cool to get some representation from the world in there as well. But I'm sorry, but I just like seeing the big teams.
I got you. The international break, obviously that's like a pretty tough time with a lot of the Premier League fans around the world. They want to see the Premier League coming back, and it's back this weekend. Some pretty big games that we got going on. Arsenal and Tottenham, the biggest. Then we have Leicester and Man City. Chelsea,
Easy win.
Chelsea going against West Brom, and Man U playing against Newcastle. Do you see any predictions for the City Leicester game?
I think our attack is just unstoppable right now, and I can't see a team like Leicester, who are in 12th right now, getting anywhere near us and getting anywhere near the first place team and us. I remember last year we went there and lost like 4-2, but I think Pep has totally kind of come back and changed everything. He's got it the way he wants it. He's got the players he wants. So I don't think Leicester will pose a problem to us. Big game that we want to get into is Arsenal and Tottenham. And luckily enough, we have our friend Ned, who's an Arsenal fan here. So how are you doing today, man?
I'm good, guys. Big fan of the show, and thank you for thank you for letting me on here, even though I am a rival team fan here.
No problem.
Happy to be here.
I kind of just want to open up with a question of how do you see your team doing so far this year?
It's a difficult question as an Arsenal fan now, because as a Man City fan, you're challenging for the title. So you say, oh, we're doing well, we're in first. As a United fan, you say, we're challenging for the title, we're doing well, we're in second. As an Arsenal fan, it's tricky because you don't quite know what your expectations are. I think it's realistic to say our goal this year would be to make the top 4.
Yeah.
And anything else is unrealistic. In terms of, it's funny because there besides the 5-2 against Everton a couple of weeks ago, there hasn't been a performance from Arsenal, I think, that has been really good. But they've been consistently getting results against teams that maybe in the past they wouldn't have gotten results against. Right. They've particularly struggled against lesser teams in the past. And I think one thing that I can take as a positive is that this year they seem to be grinding out results. But I don't know. I think as a whole it's been okay. But I think there's a lot of work to be done, and of course a big game this weekend as well.
Yeah, so, I always am curious to hear from the Arsenal fans, the whole Arsene Wenger story, Wenger in, Wenger out. Do you have any opinions on him? Do you think it's time to move on, or do you want to stick with him?
I say out only because I don't see any sort of – what a manager does is they bring some sort of identity to a team.
Right.
And I don't see any – maybe 5 years ago I did, but I don't see today any sort of identity. It seems that there's formation changes and players are constantly being shifted around. And you never know what Arsenal you're going to see on any given day. Whereas you look at teams like, I think Tottenham is a great example of this. The work that Pochettino has done there, they have an identity and you know exactly how they're going to play. And it's really fun to watch. But with Arsenal, there's a little bit of inconsistency in personnel and formation that that really frustrates me, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like from what you're saying, there's a constant theme of like consistency that you're struggling to find in the side. And when you have players like Ozil and Sanchez and Lacazette, a new transfer coming in, it seems like you're just not satisfied with the work that your big star players that you expect to show up every game are putting in. So how do you feel about the way Wenger's handled the transfer windows of the last recent years?
I think we have the personnel to do it. It's putting those players in the right places at the right times. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because Lacazette has only played 90 minutes one time this year, and that was in the very beginning of the season. And whether he is on the bench or coming in for Giroud or being subbed off in the 60th minute, it just doesn't feel like he is being played to the 52 point whatever million price tag that he was assigned to. And I really think to be a top team, you need to make a statement with your big transfers and put confidence in your big transfers. And as much as I like Giroud, Jalen knows that. I think Lacazette should be starting 80% of the games and playing the full 90. And, I mean, just as a side note, he scored 2 brilliant goals today, and as did one of my favorite players, Alex Iwobi, against Argentina, also had a big international break. And for his second goal, megged Javier Mascherano and slotted it in the bottom right corner, which is it was a great weekend for to be an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, I got you. Lastly, just to kind of wrap it up, like you said, last year was kind of the first year you guys didn't qualify for the Champions League in a while. So you guys are in the Europa League this year. How do you see that that campaign ending up? Do you see you guys coming out on top with the trophy, or do you see yourself falling short? Because it is a hard season with balancing Premier League and the League Cup and FA Cup and all those trophy contending campaigns you have to go through. So what do you see the Europa League ending up for you guys?
It's been good so far, unbeaten in the Europa League. I think we're at 10 points after 4 games. And there's only one side that's beaten that record in the Europa League right now is Lazio with Ciro Immobile scoring goals every game. But right now I would say we are, if not the best team in the Europa League, top 3 in the Europa League. And I think any Arsenal fan would say that we are, if not favored, but certainly expected to go far, and I would definitely expect us to go far. You never know in Europa League play what's going to happen on any given day, but I can say I would expect this team to go to the final and hopefully be competing for a spot in the Champions League next year as well.
Yeah, right. Any thoughts on the Tottenham game this weekend?
Tottenham is a scary team to play. Just very, very quick on the counter, and players like Eriksen, Kane, and Dele Alli, and as well as Son, are all dangerous players that on their day will destroy a team. So I think it's going to take a very solid defensive performance, and it might take goals from, set pieces and things like that to beat this side. But I can't say I'm too confident, but I do think we have the ability to win for sure.
I can't let you off that easy. Score prediction.
I'm going to say 2-2.
Fair.
That's my prediction.
An exciting one.
Yeah.
Anyway, Neville, we appreciate you having you on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Got some great input,
appreciate it.
And we'll be seeing how your team does this weekend.
All right, great,
welcome
guys.
Back anytime.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Have a good one, dude. Yeah, I think you had some awesome points about Wenger, creating an identity for the team. That's something that Arsenal, like you said, hasn't had in 5 years. And I think more of the Arsenal fans I'm talking to are Wenger out now. I don't know if you've had similar experiences in talking to Arsenal fans.
Yeah, it just seems like they're pretty fed up with the constant fourth place finishes.
Yeah.
I mean, as a club with a bit of history with Invincibles and stuff, you want to see a bit more success. Just not just winning the Community Shield every other year. They want a title contending team. They want to be getting to the latter rounds of the Champions League. So I think they're just kind of done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. But moving on to this Man United Newcastle game, if it was just you and me, we would probably throw some shade on the old United. But luckily, we have Walter here, who's a Man United fan. How are you doing, man?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for coming on the show. I mean, the first question I want to ask you is how have you liked Man United so far this season? What are your thoughts, just generally?
Definitely positive results because United it's been a chore to watch in the past couple of years under Van Gaal and Moyes. And last year, Mourinho did what he set out to do, get us back to the Champions League, which is just such an amazing feeling to be able to hear that anthem again and actually care about the game that's going on. But yeah, like it's been so fun to watch, like putting 4 past a team. I don't think we had done that in years before this year. Pogba's just fantastic to watch. Like, I mean, it's similar to De Bruyne for you.
Right.
It's just you expect something amazing to happen every time he touches the ball. And yeah, now we have a real striker in Lukaku, who's a proven goal scorer. He's in a bit of a slump right now, but I think a lot of that is down to Pogba because Pogba he runs the team, and it's obvious now that without him we are half the team that we could be.
Mm-hmm. So when Ibra comes back in, I think February or something like that, if that's right, do you want to see Lukaku and Ibra play together, or do you want to see one play, one sit? What are your thoughts on that?
What I think the best way to use that is going to be, so in the past, like we've used Fellaini as a battering ram, and what I want Ibra to be used as is a battering ram that's actually good.
Okay. Okay.
So throw him on in the 80th minute when we're chasing a game or when we need that extra goal, because he's great at defensive headers as well as, I mean, he's Ibra. He scores goals. Like, he's a proven scorer.
Or if you want a bike from like 35,
he's
also
you
good
need
for
some
those.
magic. Ibra can provide.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. So Newcastle this weekend, any concern there or not really?
Not really. I haven't been that impressed with Newcastle this season. They've had a couple good results recently, but I'm not too worried. We're going to have Fellaini back, which, as much as I used to be well out on Fellaini, but this season he's really come into his own role under Mourinho, and that'll be big to have back. Pogba was supposed to be back for this game, but I think a late fitness test just came out that he's not going to be ready. But I think we'll be able to take care of Newcastle and get the 3 points.
Right. You know, just examining the table, City is currently 8 points up in front of you guys. As a United fan, you obviously have to just hate that. But how do you see you guys being able to come back from an 8-point deficit, which isn't necessarily a huge gap because when you're talking about the Premier League, one loss for City and a win for United puts you guys, right back in contention for it. But with the way City looks right now, very dominant, do you see an easy path back for United to get back to level pegging with City, or do you think it's going to be more of a long-term commitment that you guys will have to fight back?
I mean, by no means is it an easy path back because, I mean, City is looking pretty unstoppable right now. But titles can't be won in November. I think Fergie said it can be won in November, but they can be lost in November.
Exactly, yeah.
I think United were borderline to being to the point where we lost the title in November. But I think that it is 8-point gap at this point. There's still 27 games to be played in the season. That's plenty of time. And I remember when Leicester won the title, City was running away with it in the beginning of the year.
Exactly.
And I had said,
That's a good point.
I said to my friend that's a City fan, like, oh, y'all have won the title this year. Like, we'll be back next year. But, like, then the defensive woes came up. And, City haven't really fixed the defensive woes, in my opinion. But they've sort of patched over them for now. And all it would take is one key injury, and I think they'd be right back there. But from a United perspective, like, once we get our full roster back and just start clicking and grinding games again, I think we'll definitely be up there for the challenge. I think the title will definitely be in Manchester at the end of the season, whether it'll be red or whether it'll be blue.
Interesting. Well, I think it's a huge weekend for you guys. With Newcastle, kind of a game most people overlook. But they can also be a team that likes to sit back and let you come at them for a while, counterattack, and next thing you know, you're down 1-0. So I think for you guys to capitalize on this opportunity is huge, especially with Arsenal playing Tottenham. That's a time for, you guys are tied with Tottenham right now for at like 23 points. So for you guys to take that leap in front of them, if Arsenal kind of helps you out and gets a result this weekend, I think it's a big turning point for you guys this season. I think this could really get some momentum under you guys' feet.
Yeah, definitely. Just to bounce back after the international break. We had some good performances over the international break. One of the spectacular goals that Ned said that Lacazette scored was actually just set up by Martial's brilliance to a tap in from Lacazette. But yeah, that's another thing that's been great for United this season is goals from other players. Because last season we relied solely on Ibra for goals, and this season Rashford's got 7, Martial's got 6, Fellaini's got 4, and like this is something that just didn't happen last year. It was all on Ibra, and so that's been a great positive change this year.
So how close do you think you are to being back to the Fergie days of Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, that lot just being absolutely, fantastic? Because every time I talk to not only you, but all my friends who are Man United fans, they had so many years of just absolute, happiness. And then once Fergie left, it went away, as you know, as I'm sure you know. Do you think with Mourinho you're on the proper trajectory to get back there, or do you think it's going to take someone else to come in and do that, get you back to Fergie level?
I think we're definitely on the right path because in the beginning of the season, that was the same happiness that I felt watching United that I had since Fergie left. Because like the United team that I fell in love with was the Ronaldo, Tevez, Rooney up top. And
Tevez
and
playing both sides.
Yeah. But that was just like the beginning of the season when we were putting 4 past everybody. That was like, we're back. That's what I was thinking when we were doing that.
Awesome. Well, I guess the final question that we got for you, we didn't let Ned off easy. We're not going to let you off easy. What's your score prediction for this weekend? United, Newcastle.
3-0 United. Lukaku breaks his drought, scores 2.
Oh, okay. Jeez. Okay. You heard it here first. AJ Soccer Show. Walter Pringle telling you how it's going to be. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show, man. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, you've been listening to the AJ Soccer Show. A little bit different of an episode today. If any of you guys, out there listening, want to get on the show, you can just shoot us an email at ajsoccershow@gmail.com. Also, my email is anpipers@davidson.edu for any of the Davidson listeners. Classic Davidson setup for the email. But so it was a cool show. Let us know what you thought about it. We wanted to add some perspective, and hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, if you guys would always just please like, subscribe, and comment down below anything you guys want to talk about next week. We'll be happy to do that. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys next time.
I get my word from the sermon. I do not talk to the serpent. That's a holistic discernment. Daddy said I'm so determined. Told me these goofies can't hurt me. I just might make me some Earl tea. I was baptized like we're early. I might get Satan and swirly.